Chapter 62:45. Jimmy didn't care about Steve's words. He looked Steve up and down and said with playful sarcasm, "You don't really think that? Just because I met a lunatic who claimed to be the second in command of the Rothschild family. I would call my boss to confirm, right?" Steve nodded and smiled. "It doesn't matter. It's the same if I asked him to call you." Jimmy laughed at this. "I intended to give you a way out. But I didn't expect you to rush to climb up. Since you don't leave room for yourself. I also want to see how you are going to end it." After that, he pointed at Pollard and smiled. "It just so happens that I also want to take this opportunity to see how good the new husband my eldest sister-in-law has found is." Jimmy couldn't believe that a university professor in this small city really knew the second in command of the Rothschild family. Based on his judgment of Pollard, he firmly believed that Steve in front of him was definitely a fake. After all, outside the United States, there have been many cases of fraud by pretending to be members of the Rothschild family. So he speculated that the person in front of him was definitely fake. And the reason why he knew the relationship between his boss and the Rothschild family must be that he must have done his homework in advance. Scammers always have to make more preparations to increase their success rate. Moreover, in his opinion, Steve has a big bug. That is, if he is really the second person in the Rothschild family. It is absolutely impossible for him to appear at this wedding alone. He has never met a member of the core layer of the Rothschild family. But he has seen the pomp of this family members when they go out. It is no exaggeration to say that when those collateral family members go out, the number of bodyguards they bring with them is even no less than that of the President of the United States. Therefore, he is absolutely sure that Steve is a liar. Since he is determined to make a splash, he will take this opportunity to expose his and Pollard's hypocrisy. It would be great if he could ruin his wedding with Mai Ching, so that the equity issue of Smith Law Firm would not be further complicated. Otherwise, once Pollard became Mai Ching's husband, even if the equity of Smith Law Firm was determined to be Mai Ching's premarital property in terms of law, once the two became husband and wife, Pollard would still have a great chance to intervene. Steve hadn't seen a loser like Jimmy who was both inexperienced and playful for a long time, which made him feel curious like a higher organism discovering a new lower organism. As the heir of the Rothschild family, he had been exposed to the top of all social classes since he was a child. He really had no chance to come into contact with people like Jimmy. After all, the Rothschild family raised so many elites in order to completely filter out losers like Jimmy from them. So, he asked Jimmy with great interest, "I'm very curious. You are so determined that I am not a member of the Rothschild family. If I am, how will you end it?" Jimmy said disdainfully, "I am actually a very cautious person. As long as I am not 100% sure of a matter, I will be cautious, cautious, and cautious again. But unfortunately, in my opinion, the possibility that you are a member of the Rothschild family is zero." After that, he asked Steve impatiently, "You are talking nonsense here. Are you trying to find a way out for yourself?" "Sorry, it's too late now. I must see how you step down today." Steve nodded. He smiled and said, "To be honest, I really don't have your boss's phone number." Upon hearing this, Jimmy immediately laughed and said, "Ha ha, what's the matter? Are you making excuses for yourself again? It doesn't matter if you don't have a phone number. I can give it to you. What excuse do you have next? You're not going to tell me that you've been cheating in China for too long and can't speak English anymore, right? It doesn't matter, let me remind you that our boss speaks fluent Chinese. In the past 20 years, we have served as legal counsel for many American companies investing in China. Chinese is a necessary language skill for senior partners of our law firm. I can give you his phone number and you can call him directly and speak to him in Chinese.